Welcome guys. Today we're just going to be looking at a short video of my animation process. So I'm using Sketchbook Pro. I was kind of looking for something new, something that was easy to use, very intuitive, and yeah, there are actually a lot of great features in the program. I was surprised. So if you guys are looking for something, a free software that you want to get started animating, I would recommend that. I'm just going to take you guys through kind of like a time lapse, what I think about while I'm animating, and my process really from start to end. So if you guys feel like sticking around, I hope you enjoy the video, and yeah, hopefully you learn something. Okay, so here we are in Sketchbook. So I'm starting off right now just being really loose, really not really caring about the details or proportions or anything like that. I'm just blocking in the poses. That's it, using basic shapes, like as you can see, like circles, squares, and I'm really focusing on clear poses and strong lines of action. That's what I think about at first, right? I want my poses to be readable from a distance, and I want them to be interesting. So that's what I want. I want my three. There's not really a lot of keys in this. There's only like 3. So I want them to be interesting. I want to have a good solid foundation, and then I can build off of that. So again, staying really loose, and if I need to change something, then it's easy, right? I don't really waste my time or feel that pressure because I haven't invested a lot of time in these drawings. It took me like what, 2 seconds? No problem if I want to erase it and start again. And I encourage that, actually. In this stage, it's this is the time to experiment, right? If you want to completely erase it and start from scratch, go for it. You haven't wasted any time. But say you have good drawings right at the beginning, then towards the end you're like, oh, I want to change something. Then that's when it gets a little annoying and frustrating. So yeah, I'm really focusing on having a good base and spending a majority of my time in this stage, in the ugly drawings, in the blocking stage. Now I'm just working on the timing, right? So I'm working pose to pose here, just so I can kind of get a good feel of the volume, right? I want the volume to be the same I don't want the character to shrink or grow. So now I kind of start working a little straight ahead because this movement's a little bit faster. So I want to get the feel of movement. So that's when I work straight ahead here. And if you notice too, I'm constantly scrubbing the timeline. So I'm going through the timeline and watching my animation and movement. And that's such a good thing about working digitally, right? It's so forgiving, and you get instant feedback of how your animation looks. And Sketchbook, it does feel very traditional, but it just it takes away all the it's still digital. Another good thing to use if you're working digitally is the transform tool. So say your volumes are off, or like the head's not in the right place, and all you need to do is just move it, right? You select it and move it here, or resize it there. And that's what I love about working in Sketchbook. They still, even though some tools are kind of limited, they still have the basic ones that you need to get a finished looking product. So now again, resizing for the volumes, because it was kind of shrinking at the end. Now what I'm doing is there's going to be overlapping action, right? He's wearing a hat and he's got some hair. So now that all the movement is blocked in, I was happy with the movement and the timing. Now I can sort of rough in the secondary, the overlapping action rather, right? So this is still just a rough guide, and normally lots of people save this to the very end, right? But this is just a rough guide so I can see how it might look, right? And since I've already blocked out the movement, I can still use it as a guide to guide the action so it looks correct. But again, I will change some of this. This is just a rough guide. what I'm doing now in different colors. Notice also I'm using different colors. That's just to help me differentiate everything, just so I don't get confused. So right now I'm starting to get a little more into the details. So we've roughed up the action. Now I want to make sure the expression on his face reads, and that his actual shape of his face stays the same. So I was always pretty bad at this. Like a lot of my characters, their lines are moving around and their head is wobbly and stuff. I do this to make sure that doesn't happen. So I rough in the shape of the face and the expression, but it's still quick and still loose. But as you can see, in blue, you can see the expression now. You can see his facial features, and it's starting to look more like a character. This just helps me tie down the drawings later on. So we're starting to get a little bit more detailed, but not too much. And there you go. Okay, so we jumped ahead a little bit. So now is where we're putting in the details. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. I'm really focusing on keeping my lines clean, clear, and giving them a little bit of varying weight. So the brush I'm using too is kind of a textured brush, and that's one thing I liked about Sketchbook is they had a lot of different kinds of brushes. Like it's pretty much an endless list. So there's a lot of cool things that you can experiment with, and I'm looking forward to doing that. And yeah, and just taking my time. If you notice too, I'll try and focus on, because when I was blocking this in, I found the feet were sliding a little bit. So I'll focus on just the feet, and I'll make sure that they stay in the same position. So by breaking it down into body parts, like focus on the feet, then the legs, and the arms, it helps your lines stay cleaner, and it helps you get it done actually faster, I find, because you're focusing on one area through the whole animation. The last thing I do is the hat. Remember, we blocked it out before, but it was just a rough guide. So once this is all finished, my in-betweens are added, and then I'll go back and do the overlapping action. Then I'll tie that down. So as you can see, right, the head is there, but the hat's not there. I'll do that at the end. And that's basically it. This is the process. From now on, it's just being patient and staying calm, right? So I'll let this video play, and yeah, keep watching. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. This is one of the first videos I'm going to do, so hopefully there'll be more to come. Thanks. See you next time.